weight management. Though it's not all about that. Cancer cancelling. Or at the very least, it makes it a lot tougher for the little fuck. No longer being bloated. Politicians should take note. Eliminating bad food choices. Bad food! Regulation of blood sugar levels. Why don't you just chill, man? Digest what's there. What? Eat everything? No, I mean give your body the chance to digest what it's already eaten. What you've eaten, you mean? Indeed. I see. I discuss all of this and pretty much nothing else in this video. It's intermittent fasting. Welcome back to another video, and what an absolutely glorious day it is. Got another couple of days of sunshine ahead of us as we head toward winter. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with intermittent fasting. Now I must have been doing this now for about 2.5 years. And I for one love it. So today I wanted to talk about how I got into it, what made me start it in the first place, and some of the pros and cons of what I've learned from doing it for, like I said, 2.5 years. Now I do 16/8 fasting. Occasionally I'll do a 24-hour fast every now and then as well, but I've not done too many of those. Pretty much every single day for the past 2.5 years I've done 16/8 fasting, which means that I fast for 16 hours of a day and I have an 8-hour window in which to eat. So there's plenty of time to get your calories in. It's not all about weight. In fact, very little of it is about weight, to be quite honest with you. First of all, I'll go through some of the scientific benefits, supposed benefits, before I'm not going to spend too long on this because I want it to be more about my own personal experience, what I do know. But there's supposed to be a lot of benefits for it in terms of regulating blood sugar levels, in terms of reducing inflammation. It promotes protein synthesis, I believe, so that the body actually repairs itself much more efficiently. And one of the huge benefits that I've heard a lot of people talking about is it has a lot of cancer preventative qualities to it. By all accounts, cancer cells, like a lot of things that are bad for us within the body, they bloom in a acidic environment. So when you're eating tons of processed foods, when you're eating lots of meat, this is one of the supposed benefits of veganism. Lots of sugars, all that sort of stuff. It makes your blood very acidic, whereas when you're intermittent fasting, it helps to regulate that a bit more, and you're along, obviously if you're eating healthy, you can promote more of an alkaline level in your blood, which is harder for the cancer to to grow in. So it's not like it gets rid of it or anything like that. It kind of makes its environment tougher for it to grow in. But there are a lot of other scientific reasons for not doing that, which, like I said, I'm not going to go into, but I will quickly put some of them on the screen now, and just pause if you want to read a bit more about these, and then we'll get into talking about me, because that's what I'm about. So before I get into what I've learned from it, I thought I'd do a little bit about why I started intermittent fasting in the first place. And it's not all about weight management. So why did I start weight management? But no, seriously, that was actually a big part of it. For any of you who've been watching this channel for a long time, you'll know that I got into running about 3.5 odd years ago. And I absolutely love it, still do it to this day. As a lot of this channel is going to be about that. But I had a 2-week holiday, and I'd probably been running about 6 months at this point, 3 to 4 days a week, and I hadn't really had any breaks. And as I was coming up to this 2-week holiday, I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to take that time off. But I was a bit conscious of putting on weight again. I wanted to be able to enjoy the holiday, but I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be putting on too much weight again. But at the same time, I wanted to enjoy myself. So I decided on intermittent fasting. and I started doing the 16/8 for that 2 weeks, and I found it quite easy to stick to. It wasn't really too much of an issue. For me, I actually start my eating window at 12 o'clock midday and go up till 8 o'clock at night. Now, I've never actually been much of a breakfast person in the first place anyway, so I didn't actually find this to be that big of a deal in terms of going without. Also, I do my running in the evening straight after work, so that means that I've got plenty of time after my run or whatever workout that I'm doing to be able to get a decent recovery meal in afterwards. That keeps me going quite easily till the next day. That was only supposed to be really for the holiday, but I actually kind of found I liked it. I'm going to go into some of the reasons why. Now, over the first week or so, I did notice a bit of a lack of energy up until I had my first meal. I was just getting used to it, I suppose, because I found no problem with lack of energy by sticking to this eating window at all, even when I've done some of the 24-hour fasts. In fact, I'm actually amazed at how much energy I do have a lot of the time. We'll get into that later. So what were some of the first things that I noticed? Well, as I said, I didn't lose any weight. That wasn't the reason I was doing it at all, and it still isn't. But it did help me stay where I wanted to be. And there were definitely days where I ate more than others. If you've got an 8-hour, eating window, you can still overeat. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't stop you from overeating by any stretch. I actually managed to, stay relatively healthy. Had the odd snacks here and there, and yeah, kept my weight pretty much to where I wanted it to be. But the first thing that I noticed that I really enjoyed was, well, basically my stomach not feeling full all the time. We've been conditioned to believe that, we're supposed to have the 3 solid meals a day and that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which I now believe is not the case at all. When you're constantly eating like that, you're basically just constantly putting food on top of food, and your body doesn't really have time to deal with it. Which one of the other benefits I was talking about earlier, about how the body has, it can deal with inflammation and sugar regulation a bit easier. I think it's because it's got time to actually deal with what you're putting in each time. When you've got 16 hours of the day where you're not actually eating, you're not starving. The body's actually using that energy, and it's processing it and using it for what it should be, rather than in a constant state of trying to deal with new food that's put in there. My stomach felt flatter immediately because it didn't feel as full all the time, and that's a great feeling. I know now, if I overeat now, I feel it immediately. My stomach just, it's a horrible feeling. I hate it. And that's not a bad thing to have. Before I forget as well, just for any of you who are wondering about the 16/8 thing and what you can actually, does that mean you can't have anything? Of course, you can drink as much water as you want. I have black coffee first thing in the morning because there's no calories in it. It doesn't really interfere with it. I think there are some people who say maybe it's you're not supposed to have anything, but I think most people agree that you can get away with black coffee and stuff like that. Another thing that I've learned that I found to be very beneficial, I think a lot of times when we feel hungry, I think a lot of us know that a lot of times when you're actually feeling hungry, it's actually because you're dehydrated. But a lot of times when we feel hungry, I think we kind of automatically associate it with weakness or low energy levels, and that's not the case at all. I've actually found a lot of my workouts have been done in a fasted state, and I don't really notice too much of a performance drop off. I find once you actually start getting into it, the body's more than capable of none of us are starving. None of us. The way we live, calories are plentiful. We're just often getting them from the wrong sources. That's usually what's making you feel like shit, eating the wrong food. Even if you've got a very low body fat percentage, your body's still got more than enough energy to work on for quite a while. So yeah, just because you're feeling hungry, that does not mean that you're low on energy. But the main thing that I found I've benefited from doing intermittent fasting is that it allows me to understand exactly what foods do to me. You know what I mean? I think if you're eating bad foods all the time, it's the same if you're drinking alcohol all the time. You almost forget what it does to you in a negative way. You kind of get used to feeling the same way day after day. When you actually give your body a break from it for a while, and then you introduce food back into it again, you kind of notice immediately, if you're having nasty, crap, processed foods, you really do get a negative effect from that. You know what I mean? You get lethargic, I immediately feel bloated again, and I immediately feel tired. Whereas if I have something lighter and nutritious, Greek yogurt, say, with blueberries, might sound like quite a nothing meal, but it's packed full of protein and vitamins and minerals, and it's light on the stomach, but yeah, like I said, it's packed full of good stuff, and the body really responds to it quite well. A lot of people are talking about the negative effects of dairy, but I've really noticed the negative effects since I've been doing the fasting. Cheese is really bad for me. I believe I'm somewhat lactose intolerant. I think, from what I understand, I think everybody is, to varying degrees. You've got some people who literally can't touch the stuff. But I think a lot of us, we have lactose intolerance without even realising it. I used to get a really scratchy throat. Used to really irritate my throat all the time. I actually don't have dairy milk anymore. I usually have almond milk with oats and honey, by the way, if, an overnight thing. Just let it soak overnight. It's a lovely breakfast I'll have, But since I switched to using almond milk instead of dairy milk, that, the scratchy throat has gone completely. I used to be doing that all the time, clearing my throat all the time, and I didn't know for years it was because of milk. And cheese is pretty bad for me as well. I noticed cheese is really bad for my stomach. It's not good at all, and I love cheese. Eggs make me so tired. I didn't know, I never really knew. I love eggs. Poached eggs is one of my favourite things on the planet. I love that. But I went without it for quite a while, and I ate it again recently. I was staggered at how exhausted I was after eating it. Now, a lot of the foods I've mentioned are vegan or vegetarian options, I guess, but I'm neither. I still eat a lot of meat. I still eat a lot of chicken. Lots of fruits and vegetables. It's the best way I've found to eat. But veganism is definitely something that I've considered for a long time, and in fact that might be a video I do at some point in the future. I won't do a video on that until I've actually done it for a while. You probably won't find me talking about it. That'll just be one of those things where I'll do it for 3 or 4 months, then I'll do a video at the end of it, like this exciting piece. The real benefit of everything that I've just said is that now I've found I eat based far more on how it makes me feel. Now, a lot of the foods that I eat I enjoy, because I have found that as soon as you start eating healthier, your taste buds change anyway. They're quite often destroyed by eating crap food. Your body gets used to that, it craves it, and it changes the way we taste things. But I have found that since I've been eating a lot healthier, I do actually enjoy a lot of healthy food. I actually find it really tastes fantastic. Just going to go over to this bench, I think, when I enjoy this wonderful scenery. If only that bearded guy would get out of the way. Nice. But yeah, I think that's one of the main things that I've noticed is I now eat based on how it makes me feel afterwards. I know there are a lot of people out there who are probably thinking, well, come on, you can treat yourself every now and then. I do. Every Sunday is my cheat day. I pretty much eat whatever I want, and I have found that over the weeks I eat less and less of the crap stuff because I don't actually like the way it makes me feel. And it only you eat all this great tasting stuff, but it only gives you pleasure for a couple of minutes while you're eating it, and then afterwards I just quite often feel like crap, go into a sugar coma, or I just feel bloated, and it doesn't make me feel good. So a lot of the healthy foods, they're healthy for a reason. They make you feel good, they give you energy. You've got the choice of eating something crap that gives you momentary pleasure, which is what leads to problems of many things in life. yeah, it gives you pleasure in the moment, but then you feel bad after for doing it, and it genuinely makes you feel bad. Or you can eat something maybe not as flavorful but packed full of nutrition, and you eat it and you get it out of the way, and after half hour you don't, that hunger's subsided. A lot of times if you eat small and give it a little while, you'll find that hunger goes. You can convince yourself that you're still hungry, but actually you're not. You just cram stuff into your face all the time before it really hits, and you found you've overeaten and it just makes you feel bad. Pleasure only lasts minutes, but eating healthy, well, that lasts hours, days, weeks. Yeah, I could go on. You have the momentary pleasure, which leads to long-term misery, or you have the you do the better thing for you, and you reap the rewards from that for a long time. I also find I don't ache as much as I used to. Now, a lot of that could be also contributed to the fact that I work out all the time, and I do a lot of stretching and yoga every day. That, of course, has its aids hugely. But there's no denying you are what you eat. You can be doing all the training in the world, and if you're eating crap, it's not going to matter. It really doesn't. Like a lot of things in life, with the running, I've done well with it, and I've been able to keep my workouts consistent because I've found that I actually enjoy the actual activity itself. When I was younger, I used to work out because it used to make me, because I was worried about how I looked or whatever. And much like the eating now, it's not about that. It's, I found it a lot easier to stick to when it's more about how I feel as opposed to how I look. It's actually way easier to stick to. So that's one of the huge benefits I found from intermittent fasting. As I said earlier, I have actually done the odd 24-hour fast as well, and I found these to be easy, really easy, and I'm actually astonished at how much energy I have. I often have more energy during these than on the days that I'm eating. And obviously it's not something you can get away with doing very often. I do it maybe once a month or something like that. But I just really enjoy it. It's actually kind of, you don't need as much food as you think, and trust me, I'm getting all the calories I need. I'm still not a light boy by any means. Anyone thinks I'm withering away, trust me. I'm not. I still have days where, I still have weeks where I put on weight, and have to monitor it, and weight loss is not the main reason that I do this at all. I guess, out of fairness, I should talk about some of the negatives of it, but to be honest, I don't really have much to say about that, because I found it to be pretty much overwhelmingly positive. The only thing that I have found, and this is especially in winter, it can be a little more difficult for me to keep warm. From what I understand, I think this is because the body is, there's not as much fat available. I might be completely wrong, I don't know. But yeah, I find in the mornings when I'm at work, and I find my body temperature can be a little lower until I've had my first proper meal at 12 o'clock. But that's only really when it's, when we're, from December onwards, when we kind of got that real cold of the winter kicking in. In the summer, of course, there's actually a real benefit, especially when it's like a lot of the heat waves that we have been having over the last couple of years. I've actually found that to be of benefit. I used to really suffer in the summer when I was a fat, when I weighed a lot more. Let's be polite about it in these times. I actually really suffered during the summer. It was not fun at all. I'd just be stewing in my own juices, which is as unpleasant a sight, an image, as you could, an image is the same thing, I suppose, that you could imagine. As usual, I didn't plan anything for this. I just come out with the idea of talking about this and just rambled on about it. So I'm sure there's lots of things that I've missed, but that's probably all I have to say at this particular moment in time. But if you do have any questions about it, or things that I've missed, or your own experiences with it, then let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll return to this topic in a couple of weeks. Q&As again is something that I maybe should start doing. So if you guys have any questions, then by all means do. Of course, look into it yourself. A lot of people feel the need to judge others before they've actually tried something themselves. So yeah, if you haven't given it a go, maybe try it. It might actually be something that you enjoy. I personally do. I see no reason to go back to eating the way I used to. It's absolutely fine. I really enjoy it. I think I've stated that enough. So yes, that'll be it for today. just a brief one, give some thoughts. I think basically I just want to enjoy this day. Isn't it gorgeous? And it absolutely beautiful. Stunning. I love coming out here walking, it's so good. I just want to enjoy it before the winter hits us too hard, and yeah, I advise you to all do the same thing. So yeah, see you later all. Go on, doing the extended outro again. Bye, 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 bye.